You ever just find yourself waking up in your apartment, unemployed, and all of a sudden an eldritch horror has visited the planet and now all of society is being turned into grotesque abominations? You too, huh? Well, we can relive this experience together under the guise of an RPG Maker game. Look Outside is a game I didn't expect to get into at all, if I'm honest. It didn't grip me upon first glance, but this is the case for many things I end up really liking. In the end, it ultimately did grip me. Egged on by my fiance to play this for her since she doesn't like playing turn-based combat games, I bought it and started playing it. I had no real expectations for Look Outside, other than, oh, a body cosmic horror RPG Maker game. This is gonna be mid. Boy howdy, was I wrong. It was actually really good. I kept wanting to play the game, and so I did. After I beat it, I thought to myself that I should make a video about my experience on a second playthrough, since I didn't record anything for my first. Sorry. That all said, let's boot up this unemployment simulator and show you what this whole thing is about. We have some dream where we are beckoned to go outside and into the sky. Then we awaken, our weird ass neighbor tells us to look. Yeah, I get it. It's called Look Outside and already my strange neighbor is encouraging this. I approach my peeping Tom ass neighbor and it tells me, shit, my bad, don't actually look, Lamau. Afterwards, our neighbor goes on to point out our joblessness and state that they are in a similar position. Nice to know us deadbeats can band together. After responding to this by affirming our neighbor's answer, they tell us how we have 15 days and that we should talk to them. This is how we'll be saving in this game. We don't get infinite saves on normal, we have to earn our saves through exploration. We then tell them our true identity, Stogie. The character's default name is Sam, but whatever. By the way, our neighbor's name is Sybil. They're one of the few friendly faces we'll be encountering on our journey. Or Eyeball in Sybil's case. Anyways, let's go and see the damage the outside has done. After exiting our apartment, we are met by a trail of blood. Clearly, we gotta follow into this evil ass apartment and take a few things, like our first weapon, the baseball bat. Man, Ness would be proud. Something to keep in mind with this game's combat is that weapons break. A lot. Duct tape is handy for certain types of weapons, but it's pretty useless on metal ones. Some moves also have a higher chance of damaging your weapons in exchange for more damage or status effects. With this in mind, I go and check out the other end of the blood trail. Nothing. I suppose I ought to head back into the evil apartment. So we head into the bathroom, take the curatives, and talk to this insane looking goober. He then proceeds to brandish a bloody knife. Now I don't know about you guys, but that is a fighting gesture if I've ever seen one. You know what? Let's kick his smelly ass with the bat I stole from him. Actually, when I say it out loud, maybe he is in the right. I did just walk in and steal his stuff. Oh well. Here we have several actions: a normal basic attack, special attacks, guarding, item usage, and escaping. Pretty normal RPG types of things. Maybe you should give me that knife. Ooh. Fair enough. I'll just steal it after I kill you. After committing manslaughter and stealing his self-defense weapon, and then being jump scared by the evil apartment's TV, I think I should go. Or not. Seems there are more crimes to commit. I then clean up my apartment hallway and have my baseball bat crack midway through the fights. Now, this breaking mid-battle becomes quite the issue, as you are left with no weapons and odds are your fists suck ass. So be diligent in your weapon management. Anywho, we go inside the open apartment door to Vincent's place and ransack it. Make note of me stealing his pet guinea pig. This is important later, as is this projector. I head into the bathroom and then fight this big old bastard. After nearly dying to this ever-evolving creature, I leave to save him for later and pay a visit to my buddy Vincent. You don't think he looked outside, do you? Well, crap. After taking care of Vincent, I head back into my apartment. A few more mechanics are here. You can craft items, play video games, eat food, shower, brush your teeth, sleep, and save. All of which are very useful to do as often as possible. Doing tasks around the house opens up the possibility for random door encounters. Sometimes this can give you priests, pizza delivery, traders, party members, or bosses. It's randomized, so you never know who will appear at your door, unfortunately. Speaking of, a trader has appeared at my door. Not exactly what I wanted, but whatever, this is alright. That said, let's play some more video games. When you play video games, party members will sometimes comment on what you're doing. You can also learn a skill from gaming if you manage to complete the game. See, I knew being an unemployed gamer could pay off. Uh-oh, another person at my door? I wonder who it could be. A priest? I see. Well, let's have him bless this place while he's here. I am broke. Sorry. After another nasty gaming sesh, I level up and another fellow approaches my door. Oh, this mother is frantically looking for her missing daughter. Damn, I haven't seen her, sorry. After all that gaming and dealing with neighbors knocking on my door, it is time. I will defeat that ever-evolving creature even if it kills me. Despite how terrifying this thing looks and that unsettling soundtrack playing, he went down no problem. I then head to the locked stairwell and go downstairs. Turns out we live on the 3rd floor. On the 2nd floor, we meet this strange fellow named Aster. He even comes with a unique soundtrack. Talking with him reveals there are 3 others, all looking to do a ritual to communicate with the visitor. With this in mind, we have a goal. Meet with Jasper and potentially find the other 2 Aster mentioned to get this ritual sorted out. After speaking with Aster, I meet Jean and have another task. This young lady looks a little unwell and needs to retrieve her laundry. I'll put a pin in that for when I reach the ground floor. After leaving her apartment, I head down the hallway and... Jesus, that was spooky. And what's with all this debris in the way? Anyways, Quick disclaimer, I am an idiot and forgot to record this next part gameplay wise. So I will just head to these locations as if I didn't forget, so bear with me. So after rethinking my life, I go back to bed and find out I'm smelly. With this news, I shower and brush my teeth to reinvigorate myself to go back out there and defeat the grinning beast. After gaming and finding out I no longer smell like ass, which is odd all things considered, I get a knock at the door. I got the nurse, a medical supply trader. I don't think I could have gotten this person at a worse time considering my finances. Oh well, nothing I can buy right now. Once again, I stumble to my gaming collection to have an absolutely nasty gaming sesh. I learn the jump attack and I get a knock at my door. Finally, this big-ass Jason Voorhees looking fellow is Helen, our first party member. Helen is also good, like really good. I mean, look at her health. What a unit. She will be a boon. Now don't get me wrong, look outside is not super hard or anything, but it's nice to have a buddy along with you in these trying times. I head out yet again after being told by Sybil about a neighbor's tooth pains. We stumble upon Clint who is looking a little rough. I'm sure that'll heal. Let's leave old Clint be and head into this apartment with these abominations. Jesus, in this ambience. My God, man, this is upsetting. This is Joel. Whatever you do, do not kill Joel. Despite his appearance, he is just a victim of his circumstance, and more importantly, he could become a great ally. We just need to retrieve his teddy bear and throw it at him. After doing so, he pacifies, and we'll leave him there for a little bit. We then head on and find his mother, who isn't looking all that well. After dispatching her, I am assailed by the baby who has infected this family. Baby Teeth isn't too hard of a boss, even if she spawns ads. With Helen here to help, we quickly dispatch Baby Teeth, and then I go and check in on Joel in the bathroom. I can now recruit him, so I do. I then head into the room where I got the teddy bear and play army figures with Joel's little brother, Ben. Man, this is super upsetting. After playing with Ben, he either dies or completely loses his mind. Just beforehand, I make sure to give him a hug, and he gives me various items as a thank you, as if he knew his time was close and he didn't need them anymore. Man, I don't know if I'm just a pussy or something, but this whole thing almost had me tear up. In fact, the whole family story is pretty damn sad. The baby mother and father all go crazy, and then the 2 kid brothers are of sound mind, relatively, but they're toothified. Man, this is heavy stuff. I shall make sure at least Joel is fine, but man, rest in peace, Ben. My mission will be done in your honor. I head back to my apartment to eat with my newfound pals to really allow the trauma to sink in. Helen then gives me an odd and threatening statement, and Joel just judges me. While we're here processing all this trauma, I want you to keep something in mind. If you have a save available and you enter your apartment, leaving said apartment will forfeit your ability to save. So anytime you come here with the capacity to save, make sure you do so while you're able. Otherwise, you have to keep exploring to get the next save. With all that trauma and information about saving out of the way, I think we should go take care of that damn grinning beast. I reckon with some party members it ought to be easier than prior. In fact, we absolutely maul the grinning beast, which will grant us another party member later. Mind you, when you do this, you only have one opportunity to get this party member. You have to get her while you're on this floor. When you leave the 2nd floor, you can no longer get her, which is exactly what I did, which is why you'll never see this party member pop up ever again. Classic. With that, we can now head into apartment 21 and explore. Seems this fellow has unfortunate creatures in his private domicile. I take care of him and talk with the homeowner. This is Lyle. He is pretty important and a liar. I've never had no job. After speaking with Lyle, they take my picture and give us the photo paper, which is very important. Moving along, I'm told it is night and should head back, but beforehand I shall talk to this pipe lady named Rafta. She has a crush on a guy named Nestor. Naturally, she wishes to write him a letter. Being in the predicament she is in, she doesn't exactly have any stationery or pens, so it is up to me to find it. Sure, fine. I suppose I've always wondered if love could bloom even on a battlefield. With that, I go back home and go to sleep. Quite the productive day with getting my compatriots and all. The more observant of you out there may have noticed something. Not everything is as it seems. Despite some people becoming horrifying abominations, they are not exactly bad. Nor are they something that always needs to be killed. Some beings, you just can't do much for them. And most of them, you wouldn't know what to do with them on a blind playthrough. On my first go at the game, I was very gung-ho and just mauled everyone I made contact with. However, since then, I have learned the error of my ways. Shit, even the rats aren't something you should kill right from the rip. This was one of the aspects that took me. You wouldn't expect a game with enemies and allies to look like this. Moreover, not a game that so easily blurs the line between who should be fought and recruited, aesthetically speaking. With that said, let's continue our day. Sybil said something about a multi-legged thing moving about. I think we should check that out, as well as the Rat King on the first floor. Of course, I start the day with a gaming sesh. During this session, I was interrupted by a gamer who calls me a lackwit if I don't buy from his quote-unquote legendary gaming collection. I am surprised he doesn't have any Persona games. He looks like a Persona fan. I mean, come on. He was so in the gamer zone he didn't notice the apocalypse? Tell me this isn't a Megaten fan. Shit is too real, man. I buy 2 games from the amazing Game Theist over here and send his stinking ass packing. I then play Blood Ghoul Orgy 3 and head out of my apartment to start the day. Heading down the hall, I see a wonderful message. Honestly, this is just really special. Heading inside, I begin reading notes, and it turns out this place is the residence of a guy named Edwin. Seems he saw the visitor before it got here and started significantly changing. The notes go over his slow transformation into an eldritch horror. Naturally, I then ransack this place, and as I do, the doors behind me start opening and closing as I go in and out, as if I'm being followed. We eventually make it into the telescope room where I find the Void and Pluto discs. There's also a poster denoting which planets have a certain number of moons. This is very important. Make note of it, or do what I did. Pull up the wiki. Doesn't really matter. Essentially, you just need to know the numbers associated with the planets, since the discs will be equaling those numbers and will be used as movable keys. Upon further ransacking, I come across a note that tells me that I can see whatever is following me if I turn the lights off. I also wish to note that I heard an evil growling while I was in here. I also saw a ledger that noted the equipment Edwin lent out, and it seems Jasper and Sybil were among these people. Perhaps they have a connection. If you then interact with the telescope and try putting the void disc there, it also tells you that you need to turn the lights off. In case you didn't read the note or mess with the telescope, I believe this to be a pretty clear clue as to what you should do next. Far be it from me to not listen to ominous blue paint. Turning the lights off introduces us to Stargazer, a multi-limbed telescopic horror that will fuck you up bad if you are not prepared. Seems like Stargazer wasn't prepared for me, and I maul his ass instead. After defeating him, I then think to shower and brush my teeth. Gotta keep clean after such a fierce battle. Right before I brush my teeth, I have an existential crisis about the Tooth family. Clint and Madison, the father and mother, were batshit insane. Chances are they'd harm their own children, so fuck them. The infant is in a similar position, but at least I played with Ben until the end, and I took Jolan. Man, this shit is still haunting me, it seems. I eat, save, and head back into the teeth apartment to re-record some of the footage I forgot to. You probably noticed this scary masked bastard. Yeah, it doesn't really do much. It's just here. I feed it a muffin and it, fucks off for now. I also go into Lyle's room again and use the herbicide on this door. It's a pretty good idea to do this early on since it yields a bunch of raw beef. Yeah, I don't know if this is actually beef. Especially since the enemy tumor head here drops 3 after being beat. Something tells me that this is not beef. Moving down the hall, we can head into apartment 24 where a guy named Eugene has set up shop. I didn't pay attention and just bought the bandages full pop like a dummy, but you can haggle on the prices before he has enough with haggling. I suggest getting some curatives early on and haggle them the best you can. After finishing our shopping trip, I remember that we gotta do that telescope thing with the void disc, so I head back to Edwin's apartment. Let's get this done. Of course, we have to go the long way. Ugh. Good God. Man, this place is something. We then come across what I assume to be a mini-boss named Confusion. He asked me to bash in his brains with sugar on top. Well, this dumbass doesn't know that he resists blunt weapons, so no bashing, only slashing. I should now mention infections since he bit me. If you get infected, you need to cure it sooner than later. If it progresses to disease, then you get a negative 20% in your stats. It can get all the way up to negative 40%. But infections themselves don't have any effects until it turns into disease. So make sure you take care of that quick. Moving along, we come across Stretch Face. Seems this is another dimension or something. Time dilation is a bitch, it seems. Can't say that I ever had that Stretch Face. We kill him and head to make the negative disc with the telescope and void disc. Afterwards, I backtrack, only to be assailed by this asshole.
Oh, man, this dialogue is nasty. This is making me uncomfortable. And of course, since I forgot about old Spine here, Joel and I get our asses beat. But luckily, the goat Helen pulls through. What else would you expect? Hell no, I'm not gonna spare you, dog. You were just talking about how you hold me when I go into bed and all this other weird shit. It's over for you, bozo.
After defeating these Dark World abominations, I head to the hallway and use herbicide on this apartment door. We are now in the ice zone. It's important to know that ice melt salt has 4 uses. Depending on how you use it, you can get a lot of items early on. Otherwise, you have to wait until you get into the basement and are able to get one of 2 other ice melts in the game outside of this apartment. The other being in a janitor's closet, which requires you getting through the basement, parking deck, and defeating a little mini boss in order to get the key for it. The other thing to note about this apartment is that the enemies here hit hard, especially in the early game. Specifically the big guys, not the little mint things, they suck. So if you aren't ready for it, the big guys in this apartment will bash your head in. That said, I left, healed, and came back to get the little treasures these fellows are hiding. You'll want to clear this place at some point, the earlier the better. Trust me, just be methodical about how you use your ice melt salt and you will be able to get most of the things in here. If you want everything, then you'll have to come back later. The apartment just doesn't have enough ice melt salt to accommodate your insatiable greed. After clearing as much as I can, I head back to my apartment and unwrap this wonderful little gift. Aww, a bomb. Ordinarily, this would concern me, but seeing as I can use this, it's fine. I game a little and head to sleep. Only 12 days left. I awake to a new day. Sybil tells me some shithead with 3 arms was banging on our door after midnight. Might be something worth noting. After eating breakfast with Helen and Joel, Helen does the dishes and tells me my plant looks rough. If only I had some potting soil. But I do talk to it for now. What? It's the apocalypse. I should be allowed to talk to my houseplants, man. Don't judge me. Afterwards, I kind of eat my own words. I mixed vodka with Cleanerex and made ice melt salt. I had absolutely no clue you could do this. I suppose if you really had to clear that apartment out sooner than later, then this is how, but whatever. I head into the apartment and fight Pom Pom, who is pretty damn strong. Pomni here takes out Joel and I, and of course Helen the goat finishes the fight, only for me to learn that my concoction only makes 1 use of ice melt salt, not 4 as I thought. Classic. I head back into my apartment and cook us a feast. Joel then asks why the cartoons aren't working. I try to explain, but it seems he just can't understand. Afterwards, I make 1 more meal and a bizarre knocking occurs. Perhaps what Sybil mentioned earlier? This is Zarya and Monty. Potential party members, but overall shitheads. Ultimately, I let them stay because why not? I then head out into the hallway to find whatever this is. Oh, thanks. I hate it. Against my better judgment, or perhaps my insatiable greed taking over, I head inside the taxidermy apartment and I really hate it. I encounter Needles and I realize I might not be ready for this place. I dispatch Needles, but it takes out Joel and I and nearly kills Helen. I head home, save, and make my way downstairs. Oh no, it's back. It doesn't really want anything, but I hate that it's here again. Much like being nice to the weird kid at school is a good idea, I employ that tactic here. I feel like this thing could eviscerate me. I head back to the 2nd floor, buy a few things, and continue onwards to the 1st floor. A couple of things to understand about the 1st floor. It repeats. Not a horrible thing, but if you aren't paying attention, you could just keep looping. That said, we need to secure some discs here, and I want to get that rat crown. You'll see why later. But to get the rat crown, I must defeat the Rat King, a pretty difficult boss, so I believe I should get down to it and get some pest control going. Upon a little exploration, we find this big ass eyeball. Don't let it look at you too long, it may not be good for you. Finally, we find the Rat King. In order to usurp this bozo, we need to kneel. Unfortunately, kneeling will have us take damage and have status effects applied to us.
After the fight, which I remember being harder, we get the crown, and now there's a new Rat King in town. I enter this room to meet Ernest and Colonel Sweekums. With the rat crown, I can understand the Colonel, and he is kind of a bully. And Ernest here is a full-blown schizo, my kind of guy. I mean, look at this. Of course I knew birds were drones. That said, if we bring this guy a sandwich, he'll lend the Colonel to us for navigational purposes. For now, we're gonna leave these two be since they have a quest in a day or so. We'll come check back on them later. Moving on, we head into this room full of rats. With the rat crown, we can talk to these guys and sometimes get items. We find in here a note that tells us where to find the Earth and Mars discs, rooms 13 and 11. But first I find this apartment with a baby crying inside. In here, we find the fountain pen, some talkative rats, and this, the source of the crying, a weird rat baby. I tried taking it with me, but my character is too repulsed to take it. I leave and it hops into my inventory. Sure, why not, I guess. I then head to room 13 and find this hideous thing. It asks me to feed it the rat baby. Hell no. So I go to leave and, oh, one of these, huh? Whatever. I go back inside and tell it to blow it out its ass again, and it's confused as to why I won't feed it a baby. You have 4 options to get out of this loop here. You can feed it all of your food, which does nothing, the baby, which gets rid of a potential party member and is a fucking baby, or one of your arms. You lose the ability to hold two-handed weapons and or melee or ranged weapons. Last time, I lost the ability to use melee weapons. That was a mistake. Ranged weapons, due to needing bullets, are not worth keeping a hold of, so I sacrificed that. Allegedly, if you name your character Ash, you get to keep using shotguns despite having only one arm. Man, this shit reminds me of Megami Tensei 2. I wonder if the Minotaur is shambling about. Anyways, we now have the Earth Disc. I head inside this fleshy room and find whatever this is. It kicks my ass, but Helen and Joel beat it. We come across Aurelius, another astronomer, and keep it moving. I must find room 11. Ah, here it is. I head inside to visit my subject, the Rat Freak. He gives me the rat claws, I find the Mars Disc, odd necklace, and then I get out of here. It kind of stinks. I am now able to go to the ground floor. Now I can get that laundry Gene asked me about. I first head into the women's bathroom and get the Venus disc. Check all the stalls and come across this person shitting. I'll just leave them to it. I then go into the men's restroom and I come across Nestor. He ain't that cute. I have no clue what Rafta was talking about. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. I go into the laundry to retrieve Jean's clothes and defeat this big ass evil worm. Man, what was it doing in the washer? I don't even want to know. Upon entering the second floor, I get jumped by, well, this. I enter Jean's apartment and, oh, seems things have gotten a little out of hand. I have that laundry, but it seems there are more pressing matters. Man, this must be horrible. She can feel and taste the people her other parts are bringing in and eating. I gotta find a way to save her. But not today, since it's bedtime. I head home, get a bunch of XP, name the rat baby George, and start gaming. Oh yeah, or so I thought. Apparently these shitheads took over my room. Great. Now I have to go sleep on my couch, and I have bad breath. Man, times are really tough. Only 11 days left. I wake up, brush my teeth, shower, and now you know exactly what time it is. Oh yeah, it's gamer time. Once that's done, I trade with this local Eagles fan who was looking for some cupcakes and make some food. Something I really dig about this game is that depending on who you have at your apartment will dictate what kind of interactions are had when eating. It's a nice little thing that I thoroughly appreciate. I save and head out for the day. I go to the second floor to check on Jean and Harriet, the mother who lost her daughter that we encountered on the first day. Jean is much the same, but Harriet lets us in. No luck in finding Sophie, I guess. I take the supplies she offers us and notice that Jean has burst into her and Sophie's room. Man, I really need to figure out what could be done with her. I head back to the first floor since I need to check on Ernest and Colonel, and it seems that shit has hit the fan. I talked with the Colonel and it turns out that Ernest was taken for getting too deep into the Labyrinth Rat's territory. Seems the Colonel also had his snout ripped off. Poor bastard. Now the Colonel has enlisted us to help out and retrieve Ernest. He leads us to a hole in the wall and we are met by the Rat Swarm, who are quick to point out my illegitimate Rat King status. Little shits are too smart for their own good. And they insult me too? That's it, I'm pulling out the bombs. Joel managed to go first and threw a grenade at the swarm. Seems like that did the trick. With the Rat Swarm's defeat, we enter Rat Hell. We then come across these two bozos. Nothing to really worry about since they're so damn weak. And then we come across 3 more bozos. Again, nothing to worry about.
they suck too. Finally, we come across the champ and the beast. I can only fight one of the two, so if I go for the champ, it's a 1v1. The beast allows the whole gang, so that's a 4v1, but you know what I'm choosing, right? Helen the goat versus the champ? Let's go, man. Seems like the champ was a fraud, because he sucks ass too. You know what? I think I should show the beast who's boss too. Never mind. He acknowledges us and lets us move onwards. Surprisingly noble, that beast. With that, Ernest is saved. Yeah, I did know they were CIA operatives. You know what, Ernest? Go ahead and head back to my place, big guy. I visit the vending machine to buy out its stock and... Oh? Ernest? I thought you were going back to my apartment. Whatever. Another party member for me, I suppose. After being shocked by Ernest's presence, I then head inside this plant-infested apartment. The enemies are pretty resistant to most things you could dish out, but not so much so that they'd be a significant problem. Just something that could catch you off guard if you were lacking. I get through here and collect potting soil for my houseplant, which I'm pretty sure is the only place you can get it. You know, this place is also optional. Nothing of actual importance exists here, just some XP and items to get. I then head back to the vending machine. Turns out this thing's name is Awry. I spent a lot of coins talking to it as this is the only way you can communicate. Unfortunately, she can't move, or so she says. We'll put a pin in this and come back to it later. I never do. After leaving the vending machine, I remember I should probably help Jean. In fact, I have an epiphany after looking up what to do with Jean. The last time I helped her, I slayed the core cluster, killing all of her, which was no good. I thought maybe killing the heads would be a bad answer as well. It seems I was a fool all along, as this was indeed the solution. With this in mind, I began clearing out the other heads who are much more ravenous than she is. After dispatching 3 heads, I realized I should head home, eat, and save. After doing so, I go back to Jean's apartment to deal with the rest of the heads. Upon entering the 2nd floor, it returns. Yeah. It gives me a tongue and just leaves. God, I hate this thing. Anyways, I have a Hydra to save. These fights are an endurance test, especially since I didn't have much in the way of healing. Ultimately, I did get my ass rocked pretty hard as a result of not having much healing. Though Jean seems better after we kill all those heads, albeit a bit shaken up. She requests that we check back in on her tomorrow. Yeah, I think I could do that. Why not? I head home to craft and eat. In the middle of it, the priest returns. This time, I'm not broke, so I send him away with 20 bucks. Finally, I'm living the good life, baby. I head down to the ground floor and a bus crashes through the entrance, giving me this Miami Vice ass music. I continue along and find Jasper. He tells me we need 4 offerings. The offerings being writing, a painting, a photo, and CCTV footage, all showing or describing the visitor. I then look around the ground floor and find the stationery set and sundesk. Upon further exploration, I come across Mutt's fish and chips, which he doesn't actually sell, but he sells other useful items. The big ticket items on the shelf get more expensive as you buy them. While here, I take what isn't nailed down and find the Uranus disc in the shitter. Nice. I purchased the lockpicks and trauma kit from this little goober and talked to the denizens of this place. Most are pretty chill except this moody hand dude. He is apparently built different since he is pretty sane, but he does want his cassette tapes. So if we come across them, we should bring them back. This guy right here, this is Norm. He's a brain and nervous system that looks up mental ailments on his phone when you ask about it. People assume he's a genius since he is a talking brain. They ask him stuff all the time. Can't really say I blame them for assuming his intellect. He just looks smart. Over here is Ghislaine, this big old mass of organs. She explains physical ailments, and unlike Norm, she actually knows about them. Makes sense, I suppose, given her condition. After speaking with all these goobers, I then head to Rafta with the pen and stationery in hand. Of course, on my way to Rafta, I get attacked by another inexplicable thing. What else is new? I shove the pen and stationery into the pipe so Rafta can draft her love letter, and she spits it back out at me. Oh yeah, time to be a delivery boy. While I was going to Nestor, I remembered. I can get one of the 4 offerings now. I head up to Vincent's room and then I use his projector to project the negative disc onto the photo paper. As I head back downstairs to visit Nestor, I check and see if Lyle could develop this photo for me. When I ask him if he could develop it, he seems weirdly enthusiastic about it. Thanks, man. He then skitters into his dark room and I continue onwards to Nestor. What a weirdo. I continue downstairs and head to Nestor. I hand him the love letter and convince him to give Rafta a chance, and he agrees, so he heads up there to go meet her. Let's see if love truly can bloom on the battlefield. Hey, Nestor, buddy, you good? Why are you holding your eye like that? Oh, I see. My question about love blooming on the battlefield remains unanswered, as this is questionable at best. I guess it depends on interpretation. After the worm burrows into his eye, his head, leg, and hand all go off to God knows where. I follow his head to Eugene's shop and, well...
Shit. At least he's friendly and will sell to me. Poor Eugene. He'll be alright. Oh, I suppose we have to come back tomorrow then. I head back upstairs and retire for the day. Only 10 days left. I wake up to the Eldritch Apocalypse yet again. I save and head out. I want to tackle the taxidermy place, but I wish to check on Nestor, Jean, and Lyle. I suppose we ought to get right into it then. Of course I get jump scared by it, and it leaves me a wallet with $350 in cash. So it can't really be all that bad, can it? I don't even want to know where it got this. Anyways, I decide to visit Jean first. She seems to be doing much better. I hand her over her laundry and she seems really happy about it. I like that she is accepting this new lease on life. Good for her. I was worried at first considering her reaction, but it seems okay now. She even remembered the $50. Sweet. I then head over to Lyle after I deal with Jean. Seems like he's okay, despite the visitor being in the picture. Well, I guess he's already changed, so it isn't as big a deal, I suppose. He hands me the picture, and now we can go visit and see what's going on with Rafta. Oh boy, what in the world is that? It's just there. Man, love is truly beautiful. Now that we checked on Rafta, let's go see about Nestor's head. This bastard didn't do anything. He kicked me out yesterday for absolutely nothing, it looks like. Moreover, he won't even haggle with me anymore. The cherry on top is now the music is like a warped version of the previous music. I go and talk with Nestor's head, and it seems like he can sense his other parts. As fate would have it, his hand went and laid eggs in an air duct, and his leg has found a man in the men's room where we met Nestor. You know what? Screw this. I cannot allow these transgressions against me to stand. I tried to be amicable this run, but Nestor has been marked for death due to not haggling after kicking me out. The sheer disrespect is too much. After defeating the stinky worm, I then rob the place clean. I head to the back and take all of that stuff too. Man, what are with these mannequins? Oh, there's more? I hate it here. I then find this letter talking about how Eugene also used to set up charitable events, he used his life savings to save a school, and how there was a car fire that he'd saved someone from. He was also a very talented tailor. Oh boy, I guess that explains the mannequins. Seems my actions with Nestor brought undue suffering to Eugene. At least he can rest now, I suppose. Poor Eugene. With these saddening news, I shall find the other parts of Nestor and right my wrongs. I head to the first floor and locate the hand. It hits pretty hard with its countless jaws, but ultimately, the worm hand is no match for the goat Helen. On my way back to the ground floor, I encounter Elbows and fuck him up. Upon entering the ground floor, I see that things have moved from the bus. Can't be having that now. But first, I must kill Nestor's leg. I pass by the landlord's door. Looks like it was broken open and that the landlord is fighting for his life. I'll ignore that for now and head into the men's room to find Marshall. Seems this guy was shitting and got assailed by the leg. Talk about bad luck. After killing Marshall and Touchy, I head back out and fight this big ass thing over here. It goes down without too much fuss, luckily. I then finish off the rest of the bus denizens without much issue either. Well, this big ass hand kind of fucked me up. However, that was bad RNG it seemed. Afterwards, I retired back to my private domicile to eat and save. The next order of business is the taxidermy place, and then afterwards, the landlord's apartment. God help me. I head into the taxidermy place and find the shrunken head. I also defeat Wirecutter and Scissor. These two will mess you up pretty bad if you're not prepared, but ultimately, it's nothing you can't get through. I then go up to this evil looking door and put the shrunken head in it. It makes noises as it's sutured into the door. Great. We are now in this Ed Gein looking ass place, and we are immediately attacked by Crow. Crow has low HP, but boy, he hits hard. Seems to be a theme here. I managed to retrieve all the patchwork gear while avoiding the enemies and getting the hell out of Dodge. Luckily, the enemies here are pretty easy to outmaneuver. Theoretically, I could just avoid this black taxidermy thing and wash my hands of this place, but I can't let it keep existing. So, this boss is pretty tough, but manageable if you are prepared. Which, fortunately, I have been for the most part. Slashing, fire, and acid are its weaknesses. It does have a few extremely dangerous moves like Needle Stab, but besides that, Phase 1 isn't super crazy. Phase 2, however, sees much more HP and a wide variety of moves like this moose using a black hole on me. What the hell is this? Shin Megami Tensei?
After using all my fire-based throwables and cracking my combat knife, it finally falls. It gives a ton of XP and a suture kit which grants 10 revives. Doing this whole place is pretty worth it, honestly. You get really good gear that bolsters HP and resists bleeding, the suture kit, and a bunch of XP. If you are able, knock it out. After my victory feast, I save, and then I finally head to the landlord's apartment. We find our landlord fending himself off from some of the hand beings that came off the bus. Looks like he has a bolt-action rifle. Pretty effective, but I reckon we ought to help. After dispatching 2 of these little shits, the bloated one gives birth to hands? Ugh. They attach themselves to the landlord and enter his mouth. Damn. He'll be alright. Yeah? Ah, shit. Seems he doesn't trust us. Luckily, if you paid attention when I grabbed the rent money out of my apartment, I mentioned his name. You can also get this information from Sophie and Papanu if they're in your party, or from a note on the dead body at the bottom of the stairs before the basement. Once we tell him his name, he then requests I get his meds. So, I do. And I take a few other things. Wait, where did he go? Oh boy. Seems we aren't where we think we are anymore. This is the landlord's apartment. This is my favorite area thematically, but it is kind of a pain to navigate. I find the landlord's, Mr. Henderson's, transformation in particular to be the most fascinating of all the ones we've seen yet. Being so riddled with PTSD from the war he was in has made this place a literal war zone. You have hand grenades, soldiers, trenches, landmines, etc. running all over. Not to mention, the soundtrack is bumping. So much so that the version you hear behind my voice as I speak is one I recorded specifically for this video. Now, our main goal is to get the basement key. But to do so, we have to traverse this massive labyrinth of an apartment all the way to the end. We also have to pay our rent in order to progress. Man, even in the Eldritch Apocalypse, I can't catch a break. Throughout this area, in tandem to the hostile NPCs, you'll find 4 friendly ones. One helps you find caches, one wants you to retrieve dog tags, another wants landmines, and one wants you to blow things up with the sapper charges. This is all to say, make damn sure you explore as thoroughly as possible. The rent to progress gets steep. You won't be stuck here, but you can't move forward until you pay it. So be diligent in your searching and take advantage of those NPCs since they pay you for helping them. As far as the enemies in this area are concerned, they aren't too much of a problem. They resist piercing and are weak to slashing, meaning Helen absolutely carries. After much exploration, you find yourself in these mole tunnels with the mutated landlord. Down here is where you'll get the basement key at the very beginning. You'll also receive the Jupiter disc if you explore some. With this in mind, I think it's high time we put the landlord out of commission. This old fellow has done enough, and now his rest is dependent on us. His fight is moderately challenging, but much like the rest of the game, so long as you are prepared, you won't have the slightest bit of a problem. As is tradition, I get knocked out and Helen finishes the job for me. The goat never stops. The best way I can describe this place is that it is kind of like this game's version of the Water Temple. I've seen a lot of people complain about this place pre-update, and I kind of saw what they were saying, but at this point, I believe the place is completely fine. With that all said, it's time to head back to my apartment, shower, brush my teeth, eat, and save. Then we shall head back to the first floor. Only 9 days left. For those of you who have played this before, you've probably wondered, why the hell haven't you gone to Frederick yet? To that I say, I don't know man, I just haven't. This area has a pretty neat gimmick, especially when playing blind. Our goal here is to find the painting of the visitor, but it seems our pal Frederick has an issue. His 9 paintings are running around and causing problems. The main and most pressing conundrum is that his paintings all want to be the real Fred, which is to say, they're trying to replace him. You just don't know what the hell to make of what's going on, especially since so many of the Freds tell you whatever they want in order to make you side with them. Of course, it's up to us to determine who the real Fred is. Now, how would you know if you defeated a painted Fred, you ask? Well, this little area lets us know, as whenever you defeat a painted Fred, they'll appear in the mountings. With all of this in mind, as it currently stands, we have no clue who the real Fred is. I mean, there's this Fred in the front. He talks about how the other painted Freds are clouding his thoughts and are trying to replace him. But how do we know if he is telling the truth? He seems okay, but I have a hard time believing the first fella I meet is the genuine article. I reckon we ought to find some of these other Freds and talk to them. Fred number 1 says there's a Fred in the fridge, so I suppose we could start there. We speak with him and he tries convincing me that he is the real Fred. I'd believe him except for all those legs. After realizing the jig is up, he then resorts to asking me to kill the other Freds for him anyway. That way he'd be the last Fred and therefore the real Fred. No, I'm not doing that. but I'll leave you be. For now. Moving on, I come across a nifty cowboy hat and then this green Fred. Oh, it seems the cowboy hat was a ruse. Good thing I didn't put it on. Shoot, this guy doesn't even try bargaining with you. He just wants to mess you up immediately. Whatever, man. I suppose I should introduce you to Helen right quick. In my first playthrough, I put the hat on and he used it against me. The hat would burrow into my brain and kill me if I disobeyed Toxic Fred. Even when I did do what he said, Toxic Fred still couldn't get it off me. Seems like he didn't have great control over his extraneous parts. After dealing with Toxic Fred, I head out and look at the cowboy hat. Shortly afterwards, it jumps me and is dealt with swiftly for its transgressions. That's for the last playthrough, you little shit. I then come across his healing Fred. He seems pretty chill actually. Doesn't ask me to kill anyone and just heals me. What a guy. Another Fred I run into is this inexplicable one. I am not sure as to what he is, but he doesn't want to talk and would rather fight. So we do. Shadow Fred is quite a pushover despite his appearance, so he goes down without much fuss. I then come across the last remnants of Toxic Fred and dispatch him like a final wipe, thus ending their reign of terror. Entering this room to the right, we find a godly Fred. Considering I typically go either the chaos or neutral routes in SMT, I just can't get behind this guy. Shoot, even Ernest says he sounds like a Fed. That's a done deal for this bozo as far as I'm concerned. Oh. Huh. Well, after talking with him, he drops the shtick. I genuinely wasn't expecting this at all. Fair enough, man. Seems like a chill guy without the act. He even admitted he was just a painting. I don't want to hurt this guy anymore at this point. I appreciate his honesty. This whole thing actually did catch me off guard since I didn't get him to drop his act last playthrough. I had no clue that was even an option. Moving along, I came across this. I didn't even give it a chance, to be honest with you. After murdering an innocent, I came across another unfortunate thing. Man, this thing has the most upsetting noises. Not to mention, Ernest is certain he is a Fed. I don't even care what it may have to say, that's all I need to know to murk this son of a bitch. I don't feel good about this victory at all. So, here's the thing. In order to get the canvas bag, you have to kill some Freds. 3, I believe. Otherwise, the first Fred won't give you anything. Although, you could just kill him. And with the canvas bag being as important as it is, since it's going to be carrying the painting that depicts the visitor, we have no choice. So you either gotta kill 3 Freds, or you kill this one. Which is exactly what we do. What? You didn't think I believed this jackass, did you? Yeah, I know I killed some other Freds already, but look, most of the other Freds seem way more chill and honest. This one just gives me the heebie-jeebies. And the Freds I've killed up to this point either deserved it or it was a mercy kill. But this guy, he's different. So I go ahead and start fighting this guy. As it progresses, Fake Fred gets more and more disturbing until he is revealed to be Face Taker Fred. Reminds me of the old ones from SMT2. This fight is a rough one. He can deal some moderate hits and status ailments. But the thing that really made this rough was that Helen and Ernest's weapons broke midway through, making it way longer than it would have been otherwise. Thankfully, Joel doesn't need weapons, and we finish this face-taking bastard off. Now, you may be asking yourself, where's the real Fred? After finishing off the Toxic Fred, he dropped a stained key, which opens a locked door in the dark room. This is where the true Fred is. Don't believe me? Look at him. No face. Pretty indicative of the real Fred if you ask me. And since I now have his face from the face-taking Fred, I can actually talk to this guy. I convince him to let the other Freds live, and he even tells us where to find the painting we need for the ritual. It's in the back, and the paint used was blue. That information I got from Godfred. Now as you look for the offering painting, make sure you touch them. The visitor one is still wet. When you do touch it, head back outside of the dark area and it'll tell you what color the paint is so you know for certain. I then find and collect the visitor painting. Now we have 2 out of 4 offerings. We're making steady progress here. I head back to my apartment, feast, game, get visited by a traitor, and save. With the basement key in hand, 8 discs, and 2 offerings, I believe it's time to head into the basement. Going down the stairs, we are met with some guy who's having a terrible day, and the crawler. Luckily, at this point, the crawler is nothing really to consider, and he goes down pretty easy. Oh yeah, cassette tapes. Maybe I should turn these into that hand guy in the hoodie. Since I have 6 tapes, I traded for the coat of arms, a torso piece that has a 50% chance to allow whoever's wearing it to act twice. Oh yeah. You already know who's getting this. I adjust all of my party's equipment and proceed towards the basement. Finally, the last 2 offerings are within our grasp. We enter the hallway and go through the door on the left. Ugh, what is that smell? Oh, it's a weeb's room. Yeah, that tracks. Jesus, settle down, you flying asswipe.
This is Antoine. Besides being fast on the overworld, he also hits like a truck. He nearly killed me the first turn and then killed me shortly after. He and other bug enemies are weak to crushing damage, fortunately, so Ernest really came in clutch in this fight. Moving along, we come across Steve. Similar to Antoine, he hits like a truck and is weak to crushing. Man, the first two enemies I came across down here nearly wiped my entire entourage. This doesn't bode well for the rest of the basement's exploration. But for now, it is nighttime and I can save. I head back up, shower, and brush my teeth. Yet again, I have an existential crisis. I contemplate my status as a thief since I take everything I can. I mean, most of the people I do this with offer it, are dead, or went crazy and then died, so it's nothing I should lose sleep over. Fuck them. I then head to sleep with a clear conscience. Only 8 days left. I awake, game, trade, feast, game, and then save. Off we go back down to the basement. We got some disc doors to unlock and exploration to do. This time, I head into the apartment to the right and get jump scared by this little bastard. I go into the next room and come across August. Man, these earwigs are getting out of hand here. This is like an average summer bug in the Everglades. What the shit is it doing in Quebec? Luckily, I have some Molotovs and Helen to deal with this overgrown insect. Oh, man. August kinda sucked. Huh. Steve and Antoine had me clenching my fucking balls while this goober just gets pieced up. Not that I am complaining. Okay, well I guess I am. But I just expected much more out of this thing being all scary and such, especially since Antoine and Steve nearly wiped my party. I go back into the living room to handle the bug that jump scared me. This is Clyde, and he looks dangerous. I'm unsure as to what kind of bug it's supposed to be, but I know how to kill it, and that's all that matters right now. Moving along, I come across this little beauty, Jennifer. I mean, come on, just look at her. Alright, I'm getting the Molotovs. She goes down without much issue either. What the hell? These bugs are all bitch-made. Steve and Antoine must have been outliers to nearly put my ass 6 feet under like they did. Well, time to move on to the disc door. As it stands, in the Steve room, we can only open the Pluto door. Behind it is a claymore. Hell yeah! Helen is using that shit immediately. Coming back out to the hallway, this door has an equal sign on it. Great. Math. Just what I wanted. I'm not sure if there are multiple solutions, but I used the negative and Uranus discs on one side and the Sun and Pluto discs on the other to equal 18 on both sides. Entering the security room, I find this guy just tweaking here. I need some CCTV footage, and he's in the way. Naturally, we go to fight him. This guy is apparently named Panopticon. Really easy, nothing to worry about. However, since I don't have a blank VHS tape yet, I can't get the CCTV footage. Whatever. Going forward into the flooded part of the basement, I eventually come across this blind guy who is now a blind centipede. He gives me a chew toy to aid in finding his seeing eye dog, Roxy, who may now be a dragon? I don't know about a dragon, but I'll keep an eye out, man. I then find this tube-like eye thing with some fat-ass tick chewing on it. The tick goes down super easy. I'm unsure if whatever this is would appreciate such a thing, but I'd rather not have giant ticks running around my residence. I then get assailed by an evil floating corpse right after I took care of the tick. Cheap shot. I probably should take care of the pipe people down here at this point since they all seem upsettingly hostile. I tried just avoiding them prior, but whatever. If I don't take out the trash, who will? More importantly, I gotta keep backtracking through here so I don't want to have to keep avoiding these guys. Good lord, more of these giant ass ticks? How the hell did they breed like this down here? Are these ticks that just got massive, or are they humans that turned into ticks? I guess we'll never truly know. Whatever. Moving on. I came across this place with janitorial supplies, and then I went up and saw this. Arachnophobia be damned. Well, at least he's nice. We talked to this guy, and this is David. He's a teacher who was on a field trip during all this hubbub. He wants us to find his special needs students. Okay. There seems to be quite a few of them, too. I met Zachary already. He was the blind centipede, but I'll have to find these other little kids. It's bad enough that they're kids, but it makes it more pressing since they're special needs kids. Man, this isn't the kind of thing I think about in an apocalypse, but it's cool to see a game that presents these ideas and explores them a bit. I know they were primarily here for the offerings, but let's divert a little and get these kids wrangled up. I do worry that David might just eat them since he's a big ass spider, but we'll see. On my travels, I see more ticks and whatever this is. It says Harvest Man, but I don't know. It kind of looks like Octodad. I guess I could be thankful it's not the Fear and Hunger Harvest Man. By the way, the basement is very maze-like in essence. It's not impossible to navigate, but just make sure you pay attention to where you've been and where you are going, or this will be very rough for you. I retreat back up to my apartment to eat since my healing supplies are running low, and I go right back down to the basement. I came across my first kid after meeting David, this floating fly fairy.
I tell her David is word and she doesn't seem to trust me. Fortunately, I remember her name and say it, making her convinced I'm not a goblin tribe member. She goes back to David after our conversation. Sweet. One less special needs kid running around unattended in the apocalypse. I keep moving and come across this lever that lowers the gate. Like clockwork, this big ass evil beast shambles on over. The game tells me I feel an urge to run away, but screw that. I'm fighting this big old thing and whooping its ass, or so I thought. This is the boiler beast, and it's about to clean my clock. It gets 3 attacks, has 1200 HP, is immune to fire but apparently not burning, resists slashing and piercing, my main damage types, and is weak to cold and shock, both of which I do not and cannot do. Worst of all, I forgot to equip Helen with a new weapon, rendering her a meat shield in this fight, a task she performs expertly, might I add. I will also say that if you don't beat this giant thing right now, it's going to keep pursuing you through the sewers, so better to do it sooner than later. I managed to squeak by in this fight, like, look at this. My ass was seconds from dying, but we pulled through. I continue onwards, nearly mangled looking for an exit when I come across Zachary's dog. Not quite a dragon, but this will do. Also, that giant thing that appeared near the exit, yeah. The dog decides to allow me to lead it back to Zach after I show it the chew toy, but that thing at the door needs to be dealt with. I heal up, pull my pants down, make brown, and begin the fight. This is gonna be rough. The boiler beast was already a horrible time, and now I have to fight a sewer beast? He's gonna rip my head off, and he's dead. Huh, I was expecting this to be a lot harder than that. We move on, I suppose. Leaving that area, I come across more ticks, send them back to hell where they belong, and I continue onwards. My original plan after the boiler beast was to feast in my apartment, but I guess that is not super pressing anymore. Along this expedition, I encountered this frozen hockey player. Am I going insane? Shouldn't you be upstairs in the ice apartment? What a bozo. Eventually, I come across these two little kids over here. These guys are in the gamer zone. I mean, look at this concentration, paying me absolutely no mind. What if I was a bad guy who wanted to do harm unto them? Huh? What if I was David, the hit singer who killed a girl? Absolutely no survival instinct. After sharing my gamer secrets and telling them their names, they also head back to David. Kinda curious how that one kid is unaffected by anything, but whatever. Good for him, I guess. With them making their way back to David, that's 3 out of 8 so far. Right next to their room is another gaggle of ticks. I swear, what the hell am I supposed to be? Dale Gribble? I've just been exterminating bugs and beasts down here. See? The boss tick? God, at least 2 of the kids are right here, I guess. These 2 are Charlie and Tristan. Charlie just hisses at me and Tristan is a little wary, but after speaking Tristan's name, they decide to head to David. 5 out of 8. I made my way back to Zachary, delivered Roxy, and with that, they make their way back to David. 6 out of 8. Finally, I found the final tick. Tickle. Allegedly a friendly tick, but no tick is a good tick in my book, even if he wishes to trade for blood. Okay, maybe I do feel a little bad after he said, oh no, I was betrayed, and died in one hit. Perhaps I am the monster. Well, no time for self-reflection now. I have 2 more kids to save. Like, this one. This is Oliver. We have to talk about his cool-ass drawings in order to get him to react favorably. Otherwise, he just shrugs. Talking about the drawing he made of David, telling Oliver how David is also worried, and revealing that you know Oliver's name will prompt him to get his ass on back to David. 7 out of 8. Right after this, I encounter a slug man who seems to know my name. He asks if he's too far gone, but I literally haven't the faintest idea who the hell he is. I looked it up, but apparently he must have just been a guy that your character knew before all hell broke loose. Since there's been absolutely no mention or reference of this guy prior, I just wondered to myself if this was probably just some strange delusion. Maybe he had another friend named Stogie. Maybe I look like someone else who also happened to be named Stogie. I don't know. Or maybe the game dev is just screwing with me. Whatever, I kill this guy and keep going. At last, I find the final students and send them back on to David. I have to go check on them in a minute, but first I have some more exploring to do. I find and kill this giant caterpillar and come across this cool game cartridge. Nice. I go back to David and check on all the kids and all seems well. He gives me 2 stimulants and an elixir. All the kids also seem accounted for too. Guess he didn't eat any of them after all. With that, I head back to the apartment to heal, save, and sleep. Only 7 days left. So, remember all those ticks I was killing? It wasn't entirely needed at all. In fact, most of the basement is skippable if all you're trying to do is get to the end of the game, but that's not my only goal here. I killed them in order to unlock the furnace so I can fight it. Apparently the ticks were preventing it from awakening. I don't even know, man, but let's do this. Much like the boiler beast, it is resistant to slashing, piercing, is immune to fire, and is weak to cold and shock. It also has a whopping 1600 HP, 400 more than the boiler beast, so we are definitely in for a fight.
Let's head down there and start this thing. You know the fight is going to be hard when the game prompts you to walk away despite walking right into it. Heading into this, I was unsure what to really expect. Turns out I was horribly underprepared my first time. I was dishing out virtually no damage in comparison to its health pool, and of course, it also hits like a freight train. It has this move where it builds up and eventually belches out flames that can wipe out your whole party if you're not ready for it, which is exactly what happened to me. After getting humiliated and sent back to the lobby, I had to rethink the whole setup I had going. I couldn't for the life of me even begin figuring out where to get anything that does cold or shock damage, so I do as most people would. I turned to the wiki and read up on what people were saying. As it stands, there are no weapons that do cold damage at all. As for shock, only the stun baton and cattle prod do shock damage, both of which are only obtainable through Mutt's special inventory. I did read that Zarya's paintballs can do cold damage, but that sounds like baloney and I can't be bothered to test this. I also read that Dan can apparently do this, but there isn't anything that verifies any of this, so as far as I'm concerned, cold damage just is not a thing players can achieve as it stands. If I'm wrong, I'd love to know how you can get cold damage, as I just have zero idea and there wasn't anything that told me otherwise. That said, we at least have the potential for shock damage. Let's see what Mutt has. Thank God, Mutt has the stun baton. I throw that to Helen and check everyone else's equipment. I then head back down and see how the next run pans out. I can't imagine it would be too much different considering the furnace's damage output, but whatever. The second fight actually went a lot better, but it was still a very hard fought battle. I had to use all of my stimulants and most of my elixirs to stay afloat. The furnace's flame belch attack was a massive and constant problem. Not to mention, I've been neglecting my main character's health pool, so if an enemy so much as sneezes in the same zip code as him, he'll die. Fortunately, Helen was coming in clutch with the stun baton, and especially with the coat of arms granting her a 50% chance to act twice in a turn. I feel without that double acting, this wouldn't have worked, and or it would have taken way longer. That said, Helen and Joel stood firm as they took home the dub. We're given the furnace edge, which I put on Helen, and I go back to the apartment for a victory feast. I game right after the feast and get a door encounter. Looks like some weirdo trying to make some friends. Sure, why not? I'll open the door. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, he's actually just a normal guy. And this is Dan. He's another party member, it seems. I swore this was going to be an evil version of him. Can't say I'm upset by this, but hey, at least I didn't have to fight this guy. After dealing with old Dan, I head back down to the basement. I saved talking about this place till now since it's right before the fungus area, but this is a little gaggle of people hanging around in the basement here, much like Mutt's place. Naturally, I speak with Musette. She's a retired nurse who volunteers at the soup kitchen. On her way to the soup kitchen, all of this had started and she ended up here. She'll tell you about the maddening events that happened before she took refuge and even explains that she is afraid to use her wings since it could break every bone in her body. She'll also offer us to partake in the soup she has made. Such generosity in these desperate times are a welcome change to the typical depravity, depression, and horrific scenes I've been coming across. If asked, she can also give you a quick rundown of all the people here, like this guitar player named Robert who used to also sing but lost his voice when changing, and now he's having to relearn the guitar with his new appendages. Not much of a talker, obviously, but hopefully he's able to relearn. Another fellow that's here is Michael. Interacting with him seems to show that he's fighting against his new nature. As Musette explains, he's a very gentle person, and as long as he poses no threat, the others don't think much of his presence. Though that last part shows what they are all thinking regarding Michael. These people over here playing poker are 3 college students. Carlos, Laurent, and Rana, all studying various things beforehand and were even on their way to class when all of this went down. Laurent in particular has an interesting development in the way of the fellow growing on her back. This growth is very insistent on eating us. It also seems pretty cognizant of what it is doing considering it understands boundaries, but just doesn't respect them. I choose to sit down and play poker with them. Unfortunately, Laurent's growth is very quick to reveal Laurent's hand. It really be your own, man. The final fellow in this room is Placid. He is connected to all the water running through the building and is responsible for the hot water we've been enjoying. He even knows our name thanks to this fusion. I don't want to know how much he has seen as a result of this. He even explicitly tells us how anything that shoots out water he can see out of. I can't blame him for his circumstances, but knowing he can see and probably looks when I spread my ass cheeks to wash properly is deeply upsetting. Turns out he was a master plumber and a water heater installer that worked with a team of 4 journeyman plumbers and 1 apprentice. He explains they had pipes wriggling out of their bodies whilst he fused with the water pipes. I wonder if those pipe people I fought prior were any of the people on his team. You know, I really like this little settlement. I don't know. Despite the oddities that are here, it's kind of cozy, I suppose. Although, Musette told me there were 12 people total and I only see 7. She informed me that some people went south into the mushroom zone and never came back. I suppose we should proceed forward, but first we have a door to unlock with herbicide. Inside is a bunch of supplies and this guy named Fangapede. He's nothing to worry about, so I beat his ass and take everything. I wonder if he was one of the missing 5 or if all of the 5 that are not with this group went into the mushroom zone. It seems more plausible that he's just some random guy locked in this closet considering what Musette told us. Either way, I head towards the mushrooms and pick these 2 up. I wonder if they'd heal me. I really don't know what I was expecting. Heading inside, things start to get a little trippy. I fight this infected mushroom guy with some dude behind it. Apparently I'm too late to save the guy. I didn't even finish my turn and I already killed this thing. Whatever. At least I got the convenience store key. This is an extremely important key, by the way, but we'll get to it after the fungal place. We still need to explore after all. I find this moth in need of aid. His name is Philippe. He claims to be the strongest bug, but he looks like a pencil-pushing nerd. Moreover, I'm pretty pleased with my current team, so you'd only slow us down. I'll still help your friends. Pinky promise? Wait, your family? I thought you said friends. I trust you for now, you vile thing. Now away with you, back to the entrance and allow us pros to handle the job. Oh, the wrong way. Ah, here we are. A traversal puzzle. I'll have you know that I've beaten SMT Strange Journey, 1, 2, If, and the Devil Summoner games. I'm quite familiar with traversal puzzles, thank you. Oh? Another captive? This must be one of Philippe's family. I suppose it's plausible. What's this Duel for Atlantis? A Yu-Gi-Oh type thing? Most excellent. How about I need 10 cards. Well, shit. At least he gave me an elegant cap. Go on and head back to the entrance with your moth family, you weirdo. I think I found another of Philippe's family, but looks like we were too late for this one. Her name was Danielle. Rest in peace. Hopefully the others are okay. Hey, the Neptune disc. But I believe I saw another poor fellow this way. Don't worry, Claire. We'll save you. Wait a sec. This thing casted pain on me? I didn't know I was playing Fear and Hunger. Get out of here. Claire gives us an ornate breastplate and can even expand our apartment if we have the correct amount of materials for it. Dude, sweet. I've been wanting a pool table. I just need to find these materials. Why haven't I gotten them all game? Must be a late game thing. I then saved Jean-Pierre. It seems even Joel knew him as the security guard. A blacksmith, huh? I guess it doesn't make much money if you have to daylight as a security guard. Seems he's going to be setting up shop in my apartment. Shoot, he'll even craft these weapons? Damn, dude, look at these things. The Void Blade, Rotten Fang, Astral Hammer, X-X9S Particle Gun, and World Tree's Bane? Damn it, I don't have any materials? Another late game thing? Ugh, well I suppose I can't just get overpowered this early. Whatever. Yeah, take your hairy ass back to the entrance. I wonder if there are any secrets over here that could have some of these materials. Never could be too sure in these kinds of games, you know? Oh no, did I just soft lock myself? Oh, wait a second. Did the mushrooms always have eyes? Am I just now noticing this? Ah, whatever, who cares? I suppose I should just... Oh, hell no! Man, is that a Help with your what? Comedy routine? And you were the second worst? That's rough. Why would I do it for free? What's in it for me? Fair enough. Fine, whatever, man. I don't know, why? Are these all mushroom jokes? Moss? Lichen? Man, whatever. This shit is straight ass. Yeah, I am an expert. Watch this. Okay, my bat breaking after the first hit is pretty funny. No expert? Man, screw you. Yeah, get him, Colonel Squeakums. Not so funny now. Anyways, now that bozo is dealt with, I suppose we should check on any more of Philippe's family. Jesus, what is that? Oh my gosh, this fucking thing hits harder than the damn furnace? What is this malarkey? I also can't see shit. What in the hell is happening? Glad we beat that. Wait! I need to heal. Shit, what is that? The Spore Mother? So you're the one trapping all of Philippe's family. Your time is now, you vicious asswipe. Yeah, get shit on. Fuck, I'm not feeling too good. I need to get out of here. Thank God the mushroom roadblocks are all gone. Shit, wait. Isn't this the entrance? These guys were all just mushroom mimics? Damn it, I wanted the World Tree Bane. Son of a bitch. The other outcome of this section is where you take Philippe with you and he betrays you at the end after trying to convince you that you were supposed to be saving the princess the whole time and not his family. The princess being the Spore Mother. Little bastard. Of course it mostly plays out the same, but it's still fun to do. Anyways, enough goofing around. I need to go through the north and get my ass healed up and sleep. We go up to and find the final astronomer just walking around. This is Beryl. We talk with him and he gives us a hint about the security footage offering. He states someone has to watch it in order to verify it is actually security footage of the visitor. For now, I will head back to my apartment and sleep. When I awake, I shower and brush my teeth. Right before I can save, I see a roach holding a piece of paper stating they want to live here. Mi casa su casa, I guess. Just so you guys are aware, depending on how you handle the roaches, they will either become a party member if you feed them by leaving food out and not killing them, or they will become a fight if you keep killing them. Pretty cool little thing that I tried getting my last playthrough and won't be getting this playthrough either. That said, only 6 days left. Something I want to briefly mention before we get a move on is with saving. Every time you save, odds are good that Sybil will have something to say regarding anything of relevance you've done between saves. A lot of it is nice little flavor text, and sometimes Sybil will give you insight into her state of being, as well as her past. In the beginning, Sybil will also give you information about what she has heard on the 3rd floor. I haven't mentioned it much just because it's not something I find super important, but I'd be remiss for not mentioning how nice it is to have it. Anyways, with all that out of the way, we still gotta get 2 more offerings. Our first major destination is the convenience store, since we got the key from the Fungal area. Before that, I'll just go check on Zari and Monty real quick. Who the shit is this? Juice box? How the hell did you get up here? The window? Sure, whatever. A handshake? Why not? Yeah, I figured it'd be the most unpleasant handshake of my life. Now that that's over, I almost forgot. I probably should go back into the ice apartment and collect the last of the 4 items in there. Those items being this video game, a stimulant, $50, and the mercury disc. Which the mercury disc is not important at all since it only equals 0, but I still wanted the other things. Afterwards, I head down to the convenience store on the ground floor. Inside, I come across a game, herbicide, duct tape, and even the VHS tape. Hell yeah. With the VHS tape in hand, that means we can get a 3rd offering. Although beforehand, I probably shouldn't leave whatever the fuck this is to run around down here. Scent fingers? Dude, ew, why is it busting a fat load in my ear? Let's put this monstrosity down. Fingers hits pretty damn hard. He nearly killed Joel and I, but alas, he was no match and fell. I head back to my apartment to feast. After eating the first part of it, Dan decided to reveal how he is a game reviewer online. What a nerd. He then proceeds to rail my whole video game collection individually, and then rate its entirety a 7 out of 10. What a shithead. After our second feast, he starts arguing with Joel about which super jump lad is the best. You know, this reminds me of something. On my way down to the basement, I take the Earth disc so I can use it. I then stop by this door to use the Neptune disc we got from the mold place. Inside is this tongue guy named Argot. Really nothing to worry about. He does do a scary amount of status effects, but he's ultimately weak as hell. In this room, there are a few good healing items, and if you have ice melt salt, you can snag an elixir here as well. I head through the door towards the security room and use the Mars and Neptune discs here to get inside. This room has a few grenades, flak jacket, combat knife, duct tape, and even an SMG. Well, not that it matters since I can't use ranged weapons. Really makes you wonder what the hell the security was doing if they needed all this. Moving on to the security room, we need to get footage of the visitor. But how? If we or our party members look at the live feed, we're cooked. I head to Jasper for some information. Unfortunately, he's pretty useless with telling me what I should do. I deliver the 2 offerings I have, and he tells me about how he has visions of a written manuscript but doesn't say shit about the VHS tape. Maybe if I go back and reread Barrel's text, I'll get a clue? Nothing. Shit. What am I supposed to do? I check things of interest in the security room and it says I can place something on the chair. What the hell would I... You don't think it means a guinea pig, do you? That would be pretty messed up, yeah? Well, I don't have anything else. Let's try it. I place the guinea pig and turn on the feed. Nothing. Let's switch to cameras. Aw shit, I guess that's the one. Let's put the tape in and put this thing down. Sorry, Cinnamon. Your sacrifice would be for the good of the world. Cinnamon sucks, so there's really nothing to it. Afterwards, we just have to wait for the tape to be done. It makes a little sound and the light turns green when it is finished. With that, we have our 3rd offering. Next stop, the parking deck. We have to find this manuscript, and that's the only place I've yet to go. I take all the discs back and continue. I did get jump scared by this fucking tire stack. It did kind of get me, admittedly. Little bastard. Dude, what's with all this flesh growth? Disgusting. Shit! A fucking traffic cone just jumped me? What the hell is going on here? After beating this little thing, I look down in real life since my cat brushed against my leg, and then this car jumps me. This thing is pretty resilient against most of what I can dish out. Luckily, he's no match overall. I'm tired of getting jumped all the time. Can't have shit in Quebec. As I make my way deeper, I get pulled over by this police car, and of course, it's a mini-boss. It hits hard, but if you just keep on the pressure, you'll make it. And as you'd expect, I move forward a few more steps in this shitty place, and a SWAT truck jumps me. Sure, I'll fight you. This thing looks kind of dumb. Not what I was expecting. Ah, there it is. It even has friends. Great. Fortunately, the truck is by no means any kind of a problem. The whole parking garage isn't too bad, but it could easily blindside you. Moving on, we come across whatever that is. I suppose we should kick its ass. Oh, I can't. Then I should go into the elevator. I'll just ignore it. Or not. Seems I have to take care of this elevator thing. Again, this is a fight that really doesn't have much to it. By this point, most of your party should be bolstered health-wise to survive anything dished out by this. After killing the elevator thing, we can now use the elevator as opposed to the stairs. I go to feast, save, and retrieve my discs before heading back to the elevator and descending to the ground floor. Upon arriving on the ground floor, I go to this room where I can place a bunch of the discs. This is where you get the Saturn disc and the Magnum. In order to open this door, you need to have discs that equal the value of Saturn, which is 146. So I place the Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Mars discs, and voila! After retrieving these items, I move on to the next set of doors that require the elevator being on. The first door requires 29, so I put in the Uranus and Earth discs. This gives us whiskey and a claymore. A fantastic combination in real life, might I add. Then I put the Sun and Mars discs for this blood door. It leads to this creepypasta ass game which literally does nothing. Just to let you know, the Saturn disc is completely useless, as are a few other discs. And the only reason to get this useless ass cartridge is for an achievement. With these doors finished, I don't believe we need discs ever again. I head back to where the elevator was and go up this hallway. We come across this poor bastard getting eaten alive by the worm. I want to kill this thing for the janitor's closet key, so maybe we'll save this guy too. It's a little bit tough, but ultimately not much of a problem. Unfortunately, we couldn't save the poor bastard. Whatever. I also realized I didn't equip a weapon onto myself. Classic. I head to all the janitor's closets to collect the items and make my way to the one on the ground floor. Finally, we meet Papanu. Ordinarily, you can meet him in the men's room if you reach the ground floor with no party members or just one. Since I had more than one party member, I couldn't meet him until I got the janitor's key, which, as you see, is not until the last 10% of the game. I head back up to my apartment, eat, sleep, awake to a roach with a note telling me to leave food out for them, and I save. Only 5 days left. We have 3 out of the 4 offerings, and we went through the parking deck and everywhere else. Where the fresh hell is the final offering? Well, it's on the 2nd floor, but we needed the elevator to access that section. If you recall, there was a bunch of debris in the way of us getting to that side. With the elevator restored, this is no longer a problem. Let's go. On the 2nd floor's other side, there are 3 doors. Unfortunately, 2 of them are locked, and entering this one, we immediately see the one who probably wrote the manuscript. I think I'll just ransack the place before approaching this goober. Looking through the rooms, we get a couple of items. Then I find this room with a typewriter in it and a page still in it. Kinda torn though. Seems not to make much sense, but that's alright. We can't take it for now, so I believe I should head over to this guy and see what can be done. Immediately, the typewriter starts spitting bars for the story it's writing, and it seems he wants to tussle. This guy has a moderate health pool and doesn't hit too hard. He's really nothing to write home about. I kicked his ass and combined the manuscript he dropped with the one in the typewriter. With this, we have the final offering. I head to Jasper, hand over the loose manuscript, and he gives us the roof access key as well as some robes. The ritual's almost here, but first, I must game. I mean, come on, we do have a few days left. I mostly do this so I can potentially get some traders to come to my door since the roof is the point of no return. So let's get some gaming in. After my first game, a cook named Hobbs swings by and I trade him ingredients for cooking knowledge. My 4th gaming sesh yields a gun trader, and I sell all my guns since I can't use the damn things, but I did buy some grenades, a combat knife, and some gas bombs. After the 6th gaming sesh, someone leaves a Molotov at my door. Nice. I sleep and awake to a roach with a note in its pincers, yet again begging for food. You know what? Sure, whatever. I make them frozen fish and leave it out for them. I then continue my gaming sesh with only 4 days left. After my 8th gaming session, this goofball named Morton pops up. I open the door, and he's evil. Thankfully, he's weak as hell. I dispose of Morton and continue gaming. Man, saying that makes me feel like a psychopath. My 9th gaming sesh yields Hobbs at the door. Since I don't want to spare any more food, I shoo him away. Really? What the hell happened to all the food I gave you before? I gave you a shitload of rice, man. My 12th gaming session gives me Father Andrew. I get some medical supplies and give him a crisp $40. With my 14th gaming session, some fellow named William pops up. He apparently got spit on by some evil creature and took a bad acid burn. I give him some balm and he pays me $120 as a result. I head to bed and now there are only 3 days left. I awake. Weirdly, there are no roaches. Maybe they were placated by the fish, or killed by it. I start my 15th gaming session and this fine fellow comes along and gives me the option to purchase an assortment of accessories. Quite the guy. After my 17th gaming session, this little girl comes to my door. Wait. You don't think. It is! Holy shit! I've been wondering what the hell happened with Sophie.
If you don't remember, this is the daughter of that worried mother Harriet that showed up at my door in the beginning. She has been MIA for about 12 days and she is just now turning up? Better than Sophie dying, I suppose. Apparently she encountered Jean, the woman with many faces, and afterwards she just ran away. I guess she hid the whole time. She calls me ugly. Just not monster ugly. Whatever, get in here, you little shit. We'll be taking you to your mother in just a minute. I get Sophie in my party and take her back to Harriet. God, I can only imagine that Harriet probably thought Sophie was a goner. I mean, she has been gone for about 12 days. You can only assume that a child would have died or become a horrible being, all things considered. Harriet is very thankful and gives us some good medical supplies. Even better is that if you wanted Sophie as a permanent party member, you could still do that. You can recruit her right back after delivering her to Harriet. But I have my ideal party comp, so she can enjoy her time with her mother for now. On my way out, I checked on Jean, and boy howdy, she is doing much better than before. Look at her. Do you see the fit? Oh yeah, this shit's tough. Glad to see she's doing well. I go back upstairs and continue my gaming. After all, I want more supplies. Once I get back, I see that the roaches still live. I even get another note saying how I'm a real one. You know what, you little creatures? Stay as long as you like. I fuck with you all too. My 18th and 19th gaming sessions yielded door knocks, but the first was a gun trader who had nothing useful, and the second was a stimulant on the ground. I had to sleep afterwards, and now we only have 2 days left. I wake up and waste no time. Right to gaming I go. I get an achievement for even completing 10 games in one playthrough. Upon my 20th session's end, a trader pops up and sells nothing useful except for an acid flask. Man, this is not going how I expected it to at all. I'm glad Sophie came by, but I really wanted the nurse to stop here since they sell medical supplies. Times are truly tough. My 21st session ends and fucking Hobbs is there. I sent his bitch ass packing. I was actually hopeful it was the nurse, but no, it's just Hobbs. Once I finish my 23rd session, a pizza delivery guy swings by. How are they even in business? Where the hell did you go to avoid being transformed? Whatever, here's the money. I wish I can give a higher tip, but $6 is the most I can be allowed to do here. The grind never stops, even in the apocalypse. My 25th session ends, and yet again, the gun trader shows up. Is this a joke? I sacrificed my shooting arm and this shithead shows up non-stop. Is he mocking me? Am I being punished? I have no idea. My last playthrough when I sacrificed my melee arm, this motherfucker was nowhere to be seen at all. I swear, I feel like I'm being pranked here. My 26th gaming session ends, and I sleep. Only 1 day left. I woke up to the final day of the apocalypse, and I gamed again. I have my 27th through 36th sessions during this, and nothing of note happens. Well, Hobbs shows back up, but I sent his ass packing again. After a hard day of gaming, I go to sleep and I wake up. I honestly have no clue what I was expecting. But as a result of my endless gaming session, Look Outside is over since I went beyond the 15 days. This ending details that the visitor just left, and with that, many have died and many are changed forever that are known as the Cursed. We now also have what became known as the 100 Gods, 124 massive and powerful cursed beings. Cults form under them and become pseudo-governments. As you'd expect, having 124 super powerful tyrants ruling the earth isn't exactly the best. There are also the normal cursed that are still very human-like, but they suffer with various and terrible psychological effects. This ending also notes how Sybil is just gone. We go into her apartment and see a giant hole in it, as if the visitor took her with. This will not do. I can't just let this ending be it after all the effort I went through. So I reload the save from the last day and I continue. Seems like we can't let our gaming addiction take over, or else a bunch of super powerful Eldritch Titans will take over the world. I want to reiterate, I game this much for more than just door knocking. When you complete a game, your main character gets a skill from it, which is really cool. So as a result of me completing 13 games, I now have 13 new skills. There are 20 games in total and I believe 19 skills that could be learned. With this out of the way, I head out of my apartment and head for the roof. By the way, I've noticed that I have not seen that masked thing around. It's been gone for a while. I wonder what became of it. Anyways, we open the door and step outside. This is trippy as all hell. Man, what an event. As we proceed, we see all manners of destruction, big ass things flying through the air, streams of flesh and people going towards the sky, gigantic monsters lumbering about. We also see many tentacles and appendages going into the apartment and blocking some of our paths. After gawking at this spectacle, we must meet with all 4 of the astronomers and make sure that the ritual offerings we gave them are correct. They all seem to be creaming their fucking robes over my offerings, so I guess they are correct. Well, this is it. This is the end. Officially. The ritual is ready. Are you? I am. Let's see what this is all about. They perform the ritual and are starting to act weird. The visitor looks at them and they begin combining. Was this their plan all along? To be favored by the visitor and become powerful? Can't let that happen. We do some damage and they eventually turn into the Chaos Quartet. Luckily, this isn't too difficult of a fight, but afterwards, they transform into the Seraphim Mobius strip.
Last chance to heal and fix equipment at this point. Make sure all is good and then engage these ass wipes. Oh, it seems they were just losing their minds. Well, now I feel dumb. They turned into an omnipotent being and we have a chance to ask them a question while they have their sanity. They urge us to run away afterwards, but that would be pointless. I would defeat them and not allow them to become destroyers of humanity. I mean, even now they are trying to benefit humanity despite their form. We ask them a few questions and they answer them to the best of their ability. Like if this thing is God, why it's doing this, and if I am still human. After, they request we go. Even Joel urges us, but my boy Ernest knows what needs to be done. We have to kick their all-knowing ass. After a few turns of wailing on them, they lose their sanity. This is it, the final battle. As we fight, they struggle to keep themselves in check. They even heal us whilst battling us. As cool as a battle as this is, man, it really wasn't that bad. They can do a few things that are scary, but overall, nothing they can dish out can really do much to my party at this point. A bit disappointing since this is the last battle. We whip their godlike asses and then we ascend to the visitor and speak with him directly. Or it. Once I get up here, he fucking turns me into 4 pieces and returns me to my original state. I guess it was just for the love of the game. I tell the visitor what the offerings are, and that just being here is destroying all of us. It seems to understand and feels bad. I suppose it didn't realize we weren't a part of it. Huh. It agrees to leave, but beforehand it offers to show me its entire being. Yeah, probably not a good idea considering what seeing just this part of it does to us. With that, the exalted 4 are dead and the visitor departs. After this, I notice something. Shit. I've changed. The interaction with the visitor has severely mutated me. I start fearing and then panicking. In essence, I am fucking tweaking. I have all these new little sensory things growing out of, well, everywhere. Eyes, tongues, mouths, and breathing holes all over my gigantic form and yet I am still sane. I'm still me? Well, I suppose this isn't too bad. I even start helping people out despite their apprehension. I'm growing quite used to this new body too, even if it is continuing to get larger. I help rebuild all over and people refer to me as the protector of Earth. That's kinda nice. As time moves, I am able to do things autonomously, my various limbs acting on their own for the good of the world. I eventually envelop the Earth and this place seems better off than it was before the visitor came. I'm surrounded by friends and everyone even feels familiar. This is really nice. Seems like things are gonna be okay from now on. And that's Look Outside. I really like this game. I think if you dig turn-based combat games that you should give it a shot. It may capture you like it did me. One of only 2 things I'd change is the difficulty scaling. It could be pretty hard to implement, but gameplay-wise, I think that's the only thing I would change. I believe there should be a consistent ramp up as things go on. It just felt a little too easy at the end. The other thing I would like different is there to be more stories about the residents. Joel's family, Ernest and Colonel Sweetums, Sophie and her mother, the basement dwellers, Mutt's place. I loved all of it. Joel's family especially struck a chord with me. It was heartbreaking seeing Ben just go out like that. Having more stories going over just normal people experiencing this apocalypse and being there for these pivotal moments like with Jean would be a very welcome addition, as I believe these portions were where the game shined its brightest. That all said, I think you should play it if you haven't. Yeah, I know, I went over just about everything, but there is still so much more for you to experience ending-wise and some things I didn't go over. So if you have the time, patience, money, and desire, I say play it. If you stayed the entire video, thank you. I really appreciate it. This was a bit of an undertaking for me as my first project. I have much more to come in the future and I intend to be as consistent as I can be. I'll be putting out similar videos going forward, so if that interests you, subscribe. I also want to see what other games you guys would want to see me cover, so if you could leave a comment recommending something, I'd appreciate it. It may not be immediately, but I plan on covering a ton of things here. Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.